when he said this Macaulay mindset or this Gulami mindset, slavery mindset, I think it was not necessarily just about English. I think it was also about, we need some kind of Western approval or Western, the white man still has to approve of your ideas, your thoughts, your processes, and so on. And if you look at the history of the last 70, 75 years, here in our own backyard, I mean, countries like Japan post Second World War or China in the last 20, 30 years, the Southeast Asian tigers have all, modernized, but not necessarily stuck to a colonial thinking or a colonial mindset. Do you think
I would
in India's case that's possible, or our history is different?
I would agree completely with the Prime Minister here. The slave mentality manifests in various ways. The obsession with fair skin, for example, is a reaction. The modern obsession, modern Indian obsession with fair skin, is a reaction to the invasions of the last 1,000 years, because our invaders were largely fair skinned. The Turks were fair skinned, as were the British, Portuguese, French, Dutch. And our ancient culture did not celebrate fair skin, was not anti fair skin, was not anti dark skin. Draupadi Ma was dark skinned, as we all know, and was considered very beautiful. Lord Shiva was fair skinned. The Brihadaranyaka Upanishad spoke of prayers for a fair skinned or a dark skinned child, and both were celebrated. So that is one example. There are so many others. I could argue that perhaps even yoga has become popular now, because many Westerners have discovered it. 30, 40 years ago, I come from a traditional family, so we did yoga, when it was not fashionable to do yoga, and we would have probably been called Ponga Pandits, for that. This constant seeking of Western approval and seeing ourselves from a Western lens has to be done away with. Another example, so many educated Indians believe that India was not a country before the British came, which is again not true. There are enough textual evidences from the Vishnu Puran to various others, to prove that India was indeed culturally a nation. But that does not mean that we should not reform things that need reforming. I will stress, on that again.
Okay.
For example, till 1 or 2 generations back in some communities, this thing of kala pani, that you should not cross the seas, was actually a very, very strict thing. You would lose your community. Jat bahishkar hota tha. That has fortunately declined now. It was a good reform, because in ancient times we were a seafaring civilization.
Correct.
This thing that oh, we do not convert others to our culture, that's not really true. How did Southeast Asia become Hindu
Yeah.
in the first millennium? And I would argue, even if that concept came in, who's stopping us from influencing others with our culture? This could be a new reform.